Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to our TeloYouth Tuesday webinar and happy Earth Day. It is Earth Day today. Good evening, Dr. Chris. Welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Tina, and welcome everyone. So glad you could join us on this Tuesday evening. And we've got a great presentation as usual. So let's get started.
All right.
So what we want to do is talk about the quantum rejuvenation program. It's beyond anything available from the standpoint of conventional medicine, and it's actually a new paradigm for both dealing with rejuvenation and quantum mechanics that even alternative practices don't appreciate and understand. So this is really a formula so far ahead of its time, a program. And so the technology, it's truly, an opportunity to experience the fountain of youth. It works and it's very safe. That's the beauty of it. You see the body's repair and regeneration mechanisms are there, through a hierarchy of stem cell production and release and activation. And you see in the photos there, we're talking about working with organs and the bones, the bloodstream, and the circulation of the stem cells. So there's a hierarchy in the body, and this is what we're looking at with this chart here. So throughout the body, there includes, the hierarchy of cells, tissues, and systems that make everything work. Dr. Tina, anything you want to share here?
Well, I do. I want to mention that because we focus at that cellular level, the very foundation, we do not focus on the symptoms. And this is typically where the conventional medical system is going to go, is they're going to look at, heart, immune, or neural, hormones imbalance, all of these different things, and just kind of try to hit those every time you might need something. So what we do is we focus at that cellular level, and hopefully we can mitigate anything at that other level. And then sometimes you just have to fine tune a little bit. So let's take a look at how our technology works. We have our cells. Our cells are kind of like this cellular phone with our cells have so many functions. It has to communicate with other cells, and there's trillions of them in our body. So think of a cellular phone with all of these different apps, all of these different functions that have to happen, has to talk to other cells in order to communicate. And this is very efficient when we are young, this process. And what happens is we move into accelerated aging. This becomes degraded. It slows down. We move into, our cells not communicating with each other very well. The functionality of our cells, it slows down or gets degraded. And so what we do with TeloYouth and our quantum rejuvenation program, as you infuse these formulas back into your body, we start to change those cells as though they're young. And this takes time. With trillions of cells, about 350 million of them turning over on a daily basis, we need to be able to feed them with these signals, these compounds. And these signals are so important because they're the software that orchestrates all of the systems of the body. So those signal molecules are truly, truly important, and they decline when we age. Is there anything you want to add, Dr. Chris?
There's a great metaphor from how advanced our technology is because, the rotary phones just don't even compare. You can't even compare what a cell phone can do today. So this is good to know. It's a metaphor of communication and the hierarchy reestablished to repair. Very good.
Exactly. So, you look at these cell phones, they're like a mini computer, and every one of our cells, if you can think of it as a mini computer, we want them to be efficient. We want them to be healthy. We want them to be communicating with each other. And that's our focus. That's what we help those cells to do. So let's take a look at this from a video perspective. Oops, maybe not. Let's try that again. Here we go.
장기나 조직에 부상이 있거나 무리가 갈 때마다 신체는 최적의 건강을 유지하기 위해 재생 및 복구를 시작합니다. 부상 직후 영향을 받은 조직은 특정 신호분자를 방출하여 혈액을 통해 골수로 이동시킵니다. 다친 조직에서 내보낸 신호분자가 골수에 도달하여 골수 속 줄기세포에게 복제 생산하라고 지시합니다. 그러면 새로운 줄기세포가 골수에서 혈류로 방출되며 천천히 혈관 내 줄기세포의 수가 증가합니다. 동시에 다친 조직은 줄기세포를 유인하는 추가 신호분자를 방출합니다. 줄기세포가 부상이 있는 조직 근처에 미세 혈관을 순환하며 이러한 신호를 감지하면 혈관에서 빠져나와 다친 조직으로 이동합니다. 조직 내부에서 줄기세포는 신호분자가 분비되는 부상 부위를 인지하고 찾아갑니다. 줄기세포가 부상 부위에 도달하여 손상된 조직과 접촉하면 줄기세포는 여러 개로 증식하기 시작하며 천천히 그 조직의 세포로 변합니다. 이러한 증폭 과정을 통해 하나의 줄기세포가 수천 개의 조직세포로 변할 수 있습니다. 이 자연적인 재생과 회복 과정의 반복을 통해 신체는 일상생활에서 최적의 건강을 유지할 수 있습니다. 혈류 속에 줄기세포가 많아질수록 조직을 더욱 왕성하게 복구해 나갑니다.
Great video. That's,
Our
I
bodies.
love the multidimensional dynamics of it. So let's talk about this slide, Dr. Tina.
Yes, our body is fascinating, isn't it? The ability to repair. I mean, it's really, truly incredible. So when we dive deep into the cell, because we're talking about that cell, like it's a computer, we have to have the barrier of that cell layer healthy. And phospholipids are what keep that cellular layer healthy. When we ingest bad fats, or we have chemicals in our body, it truly affects the layer of these cells. And phospholipids are very important to use. The body uses these phospholipids for all cellular membranes. So it's not just your cell, but it's membranes on the body as well. So we usually are very deficient in our phospholipids, and there's other functions that this has as well. But we also have these antennae. We rebuild these antennae with our TeloYouth because we have to receive. Remember, we have to communicate. So we have to have this antenna so these signal molecules can dock in so they can communicate. There's also communication that goes from the inside of the cell out, and that's why this layer needs to also be very pliable and functional. And with our TeloYouth, we infuse the body with those exosomes, or those signal molecules that help that communication, help release stem cells, help do all different kinds of functions in the body as though we're young. And so you can see how we support the body with all of the different areas at that cellular level. And we'll talk a little bit about our Surion, because that's also a signal molecule technology for your skin. Dr. Chris, would you like to add anything?
Oh, it's great. Let's maybe talk a little bit about the studies and the graphs that we have that show what happens when we reduce stress. You know, it's so important because cortisol is essential during the day, but then at night it disrupts our sleep, it disrupts our functions, our immunity, everything involved. And this is why it's so important to understand how that by just being able to reduce our stress with our TeloYouth is just so powerful. You know, you look at the scale here with men, women, and athletes. These are variables according to age and size, sex, and activity. And just the more stress like an athlete would go through, the more you would see the benefits. So it's not something that it's a drug that controls as much as it mediates, because as your body uses this nutrient, it supports it in handling its own response to stressors. And then you see in the graph on the left-hand side, you're looking at the changes of age that starts to reduce our stem cell capabilities and our mitochondria, which are the energy factories in our cells. So as they reduce with age, we're losing the ability to replicate. We're losing the ability to make the energy throughout the body to replicate as well and rejuvenate. So we change all that with our formulas. We enhance the stem cell production and we enhance the cell production because the stem cells are making new cells, which make new mitochondria. And so all of that improves as we age rather than going backwards and going down. It's reversing itself. So it's unlike anything that conventional medicine can talk about, or even you'll see them talk about. When you look at our video again, what doctor would show you this kind of information to understand how your body works? And these are the graphs that show you what's really changing when you take our formulas. Dr. Tina.
Exactly. And if you do not get your stress, mediated or under control, it does inhibit the process. And we'll talk about that as well, more so. But here, talking about our skin is our largest organ. We're going to be showing how Surion works here soon. So I want to talk about how skin renewal changes in babies every 2 weeks. That's why they have that beautiful, squishy, happy, healthy skin, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
when we move into our teens, we end up renewing, our skin cells renew about every 4 weeks. Then the 30s and 40s, about 8 weeks. And then if you're 50 and older, every 12 weeks. This is when we start to see hyperpigmentation. This is when the wrinkles come in. This is when, discoloration, all those things, the elastin, all kind of degrades because those cells are not turning over. And also, this is also determined by your genetics, your environmental factors. How much sun damage have you encountered? What is your lifestyle? If you're eating a lot of sugar, that creates glycation. And that helps with those liver spots, those brown spots throughout the body. So just know that we have the ability to help your skin even more so to help reverse some of this 12 weeks with our Surion. And I'll talk about some of those tricks on how you can help with your Surion as we move into that formula. Dr. Chris?
And those factors are so important to understand because that's what we reverse. And here, let's look at the telomega because this is the lipid portion of the body. We have an aquatic function, and that's water soluble, and then we're also have a fat soluble form. And so the telomega deals with the lipid base characteristics of our body, and versus the TeloYouth is more water based. And you see all the different characteristics here of improving brain function, healthy fats for immunity, improved vision, lipids for good cardiovascular health, reducing inflammation. And it's not just, PMS symptoms for women, but also for men. So we're seeing the vitality and men and women throughout. So it's a full range of fortification and protection and enhancement on the lipid side of the body. Dr. Tina.
Yes, and this also helps to break down the bad fats in the body, so it's a saponifier. Also with Telomega, keep in mind that we have our new formula that is now shipping. It's more potent. It has more of the phospholipids in it. And this choline is so important, again, for the liver and the brain function. And if people are taking a fish formula, I just tell them, stop, please stop, move to Telomega. You now have the ability to have the most potent curl formula with the highest level of phospholipids on the market at the best price in the world. So keep that in mind. And Dr. Chris, you want to talk about this? Oh, go ahead.
I do, yeah. There's, the super bioavailability and, the emphasis there. But here, let's talk a lot about what we always say is that we're energy beings first. And how that manifests on the physical in the cell, inside the cell, is the energy production device, the mitochondria. And so these mitochondria stimulate the activation of the cells, and you see healthy cells and healthy stem cells. And this is what you need at the core to have this duplication, this replication, to have true rejuvenation. And then, the cells make healthy organs make healthy tissue and systems. And now you're looking at the major systems that regulate the body. So the immune system, the endocrine system, the cardiovascular system, the nervous system. These are the systems that everybody is confronting with when you're dealing with a chronic degenerative disease. Cardiovascular disease, the number one killer. Then you see all these new areas of brain and nerve dysfunctions and hormonal dysfunctions. You see the combination of depression that impacts endocrine and the nervous system. And then you see the dynamics of an inflammation that gets out of control because of the immune system not being regular and balanced and strengthened. So all these things are what we're dealing with, but at the core, we're dealing with at the core of being able to make more energy, and on the energy level, we're making the healthy cells. So it's a great diagram here for the hierarchy of the body, Dr. Tina.
It is. And, the last presentation we did, when we talked about, the craziness of the high percentages of what we're seeing now of people being diagnosed with different diseases. Just this last year in 2024, the immune system, just looking at that, we've had the highest number of new cancer cases ever in 1 year. We hit over 2 million new cancer cases. What I find fascinating about that, where the spike was from age 30 to 50, where all of the newer cancers were coming and in that age group, age 30 to 50. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm working with a client way back in the day, if they were diagnosed with something, it was easier to help them turn something around because the environment wasn't as toxic. And they weren't doing things that were assaulting them. I mean, just living now here with how our water, air, and our food is, we ingest all of that. So it's becoming today, once somebody is diagnosed, more difficult to try to turn something like that around. So really, people, if you even know people that are healthy, it's better to get them to prevent and rebuild and get strong now where you're at, so that we don't have to try to turn something around. Isn't that true, Dr. Chris, with our environment? Aren't you seeing that?
It is the complexity of the stressors and the complexity of what we have to do to unwind is just so much more than it's ever been.
Absolutely. So earlier we showed the video about the heart and sending its signals out because it needed repair. So we'll just take a deep dive into how we help support that stem cell signaling and activation system. So the damaged tissue, they sends out a signals for repair. Well, as it sends out those signals for repair, we need to have those stem cells come out of the healthy bone marrow. So we help the bones stay healthy, get healthy with marine collagen. And when those stem cells are released, they're duplicated, they're replicated before they're sent out into the bloodstream. So we release stem cells, and with quantum rejuvenation level 3, we can release up to 3,600% more stem cells into the body than your normal day. Okay, so those get released into the bloodstream, and just like the video said, if there's more of them in the bloodstream, there's more construction workers, there's more stem cells to go to different areas in the body. Well, they're circulating throughout the system, but they still need more signals to connect and find the address as to where that first signal is sending for help. So that is what our fertilized tissue extract and our L-arginine do. This is very, very key, this fertilized tissue extract. And we are the only company in the entire world that has this ingredient. So you have the release of the stem cells with your aloe vera, your chaga, your rhodiola, but they need to find the address. They need to be activated. It's like this GPS system needs to be completed. And that's what our fertilized tissue extract does, amongst other things. The other thing that has to happen is we have to have that cortisol down and we have to have inflammation down. And our formulas combined, the program combined, brings cortisols down and brings inflammation down. This is why we have such a great success rate with our quantum rejuvenation program. Dr. Chris, anything to add?
Oh, that was great. Let's really talk about our wound healing technology. The Surion really doesn't get enough attention in let's say application from the standpoint of how people use it, because our TeloYouth and TeloOmega, they help the body to do its own hair repair and revitalization naturally, but it takes time as it works through the tissue. Where when you work with the Surion, it's instantaneous. So it has wound healing capability. And so as soon as you apply it, it's doing regeneration. And you look at the skin, the complexity of the skin, the various layers, the collagen is found in the skin and the connective tissues, the tendons, the ligaments, and cartilage, just like it's multidimensional. When we talked about the gut, last week's presentation, we saw how dynamic it is. It's just not a tube that goes through the body for elimination. It has very complex dynamics within the circulation and the purification and revitalization and regeneration that's necessary. So you see the same thing with the skin. And this is the type of application that we have with this technology. It has the ability to do wound healing. We've seen the studies on it for, third-degree burns, and it's just unbelievable for it to heal and repair. So again, we're talking about healing technology, right, Dr. Tina?
Yes, with very little to no scarring as it's healing, because it's healing so quickly, it doesn't have the capability to build up a lot of scar tissue, and that is really important. Yes, I love this serum. I've used this serum for a long time, many, many years. I will not give it up. And I want to talk about like how we can even make it more effective, but here's what it does. And then I'll talk about some of the little tips and tricks that you can apply when you're using your serum. So first of all, it has the signal molecules. As you probably are aware, we are ahead of the game when it comes to signal molecules as well as this technology. And by the way, it was first used in hospitals. That's how concentrated and wonderful the active ingredient is in our serum. So it's going to stimulate your own renewal mechanism. And remember, we mentioned that babies their skin cells renew within 2 weeks. But as we get to age 50 and older, it's every 12 weeks. Well, we want to reverse that. So this helps to do that, to help the renewal process for the skin to back down to like maybe 8 weeks or 6 weeks. And you start to see some really amazing things with your skin. It increases hydration. People will say, well, once I start using it, how come my face is breaking out? Because it's usually pulling out toxins that are deep into the skin from other products that were toxic or environmental toxins. Elasticity and resilience, and by the way, that goes away. It doesn't stay that way for very long. It's just a retracing moment. The elasticity and resilience is better. Your hyperpigmentation will get better. Skin gets firmer. Fine lines and wrinkles disappear, and then balanced skin. And we have a lot of before and afters. We're not going to show that, but I'm going to tell you a couple of things that you can do when we talk about wound healing serum. It means that if you have a wound and you apply this, it's going to quickly help to turn over those skin cells to make healthier skin cells. Okay, so for the areas that you're applying it to, so it's like a laser beam focus. You're TeloYouth and your TeloMega are working from the inside out to heal a wound, and this you can apply on top of a wound. So if you're using this like me on a daily basis, some of the little things that I do a couple of days a week are I will either microblade, and that's kind of like a guy shaves their skin. There's microblading that can take off a lighter layer of your cells, or enzyme peels. You can do an enzyme peel or, some kind of a exfoliation. What that does is it actually wakes the skin up, and you apply the serum on, after your skin is dry, apply the serum on after that process, and it will make your serum work even more efficiently. So just a little tip and trick there. Dr. Chris, do you have anything to add?
No, great insights, Dr. Tina. Just makes for beautiful skin.
Sure
So
does.
here we go. We've got a great slide that we've been showing oftentimes with it's the before and after, and you see the congestion that exists in the bloodstream, and this is not uncommon for just hydrating the body. You'll see changes like this with the bloodstream and just different types of supplements, but there's a permanency that exists when taking the TeloYouth program. And by permanency, I mean your blood's going to stay flow and fleeting, and flowing throughout the body. And these cells are going to stay nice and round and well shaped. And then you see on the lower right-hand side of this slide where you've got a picture of a white blood cell. And that white blood cell shows the activity. So if you're looking at this slide through a microscope, it's a live cell, meaning you see the cells moving around, and this white blood cell is out there scavenging all the debris and cleaning up the dead cells and allowing for the bloodstream to really be fully active. So we're creating this permanency that exists through the blood, and through the blood, now you're cleaning things out of the system, you're moving nutrient to the system, and now the organs and systems are just improving. So on every level of this hierarchy that we described here today, you're seeing those changes happen. And then right there, a great picture with the blood. Dr. Tina, anything to add?
No, I think, did you mention this is just after 4 capsules of
I know.
TeloYouth? It
The
doesn't even
TeloYouth,
include like TeloMega and the powdered
the
formula. So
enhanced
this is
powder, yeah.
pretty,
Yeah.
pretty fascinating. All right, let's go to our quantum rejuvenation program. What does it look like? We have 3 levels now. It looks like most people are engaging in level 1 and moving into level 2 to get some major changes in their body, to get ahead of that aging process, right? So just know we have these 3 programs, and you take your TeloYouth away from food and your TeloMega with food. And the reason being is without food for TeloYouth, it's easily more of bioavailable. You don't want to compete with food, another nutrient. Get that going into the bloodstream. And then the phospholipids, the fat you need to take with food to make sure it's 90% plus bioavailable.